How you doing, everybody? It's Thursday the 26th of August 2010, and I was motivated to do this little video last night. I read an article. The article was a profile from the Irish Times about a mass murderer, and this guy was well, what we know about him was that he was a parish priest stroke administrator of a parish in South Derry in 1972, and he was engaged as an officer within the IRA, the provisional IRA, the PIRA, and him and his heroic counterparts in the IRA blew up the village of Claudy and killed 9 people, 5 of them Protestant and 4 of them Catholic, and did massive damage to loads of other people, as well as the village itself. Obviously nearly destroyed the village, nearly wiped it out. Okay, little one horse town, Claudy. And this geezer effectively destroyed it. And we know this because the ombudsman, the Northern Ireland Police Ombudsman at the minute, would have he would have documents like from all sorts, everybody and anybody. So they'd know a good bit about it, okay? But what's very, very strange about the whole business is that he was never arrested. This guy was never arrested. And in reading all this, apart from my blood starting to boil, it brought me back into Belfast and the horror of the whole Northern Ireland situation, and the fact that I'd lived there for nearly 30 years before I left, and my little experience of it. So what I want to throw is, I want you to remember what I was talking about. I'll put the article, the link there, this CHESNEY thing, right? You have a read of it. You need a strong stomach to read it, by the way. And then what I want to do is I want to jump back and I want to draw 2 little stories and then try and combine the 3 of them together, finally, okay? I want to go back to when I was 16 in Belfast. That's the first little story. And I saw this very beautiful woman. Now, I'll cut it very, very short. And what happened was, this very, very beautiful woman, she was about 28, and I used to see her all the time in Belfast in the train station, waiting for the train, the Dublin train, and she always used to attach herself on the young boys coming off the train. They were obviously had been sent to her, and there was either 1 or 2 of them, and she escorted them out of the train station and got into a taxi, and they went off somewhere. Okay, that's how it was done, really simple. Alright, and on the final occasion that I saw her in a watering hole. She'd taken the boys. She didn't go directly into the taxi and go off. What they did was they went into a watering hole of mine, a local cafe, and I followed them in. Not because I fancied this woman or anything like that. But obviously I did. She was a wildly attractive, good-looking woman. But I went there to get a pot of tea and something to eat because I was hungry. Get a sandwich, and what happened was I saw the 2 of them sitting at a table, and anyway, to cut along another long story short, in paying me for the newspaper, she asked me how I got a newspaper, and paying me for the newspaper, she opened up her handbag, and in the corner of the handbag I saw a little Derringer, a little mini gun thing about that size, about 4 inches long, twin barrels like that, okay, and each of them had the round in the top of the barrel, ready to rock and roll. These two barrels were, okay, and had a little pistol grip handle, mother of pearl handle. Alright, anyway, obviously I pretended I didn't see it or anything like that, but I saw it immediately, and I only had to look at it for a fifth of a second to know exactly what it was, because I'd come across guns, lots of guns in Belfast before that time. But anyway, that was the story. So I decided then I had to find out more about this, and in order to do that I had to go to a guy that I knew. He's much older than me. He's about 25, 26, 27, and he was heavily involved in left-wing politics in Ireland at the time, in Northern Ireland particularly. And I went and I told him what I had seen, and I asked him could he find out anything about it, and he said to me he probably will not be able to do anything about it. But what happened was, about 7 days later he tapped me on the shoulder. I was out selling papers again, tapped me on the shoulder, and he said to me, I have some information for you. You want to know about that woman? Come up to the house and I'll tell you. So this is what transpired. I went up and he told me the following. he said, I'm going to tell you a load of facts, and after I'm finishing, you can ask me questions, but don't be interrupting me, right? That woman that you saw, she is a Satanist. Do you know what a Satanist is? I said, I do. She's a Satanist. Those boys that you've seen her with, they're not her cousins or her brothers or anybody else. They're rent boys, male prostitutes. She's collecting them off the train. I'll explain to you in a minute or two, he said, what that's all about. Thirdly, he says, the little derringer she had in her the little glove compartment in her handbag, he said, is she either has a license for it officially, or she's been given the nod to have it, because she works for the British establishment. She is a British agent. Okay? And by that I don't mean she's a civil servant. She doesn't work officially. Now, does not work on under contract, but she's working as one of their agents in this business that she's about. Now, he said to me, they're about two things at the minute. They're engaged in two things, two very dangerous things. And if you get involved with them or get across them in any way, they will deal with you ruthlessly. So he said, I'm just going to tell you what happened. They're, first of all, they're involved in pedophilia. You know what that is? That's sexual deviance involving young children. That's number one. And he said then the second thing is that you saw her involved in is she's collecting rent boys stroke male prostitutes who come from Dublin and Southern Ireland up here to be involved in orgies with men and women from the upper elite of Northern Irish society, so that the boys and these young men don't know who the people are. Do you understand? They couldn't do it with boys in Belfast. They might know who they are. They might know who's what do you call it, who's involved in this sexuality with them. So they can't do that. They have to be strangers to one another. And they'll be sent back down on another train. And they'll never be back again. They'll get different ones. So he said, and they're making movies, they're making films of that. And he said, why do you think they're making the films? And I said, well, I presume it's not rocket science. They're going to blackmail the guys. They're going to blackmail the people involved. Correct. This is all, isn't nothing to do with pornography. This is all about the British establishment blackmailing people to become their agents, so that down the line they can say to them, do you remember that? Do you remember that day there? I need X done and I want it done now. And if X isn't done now, Y will happen. Okay? That's all. So he said, that's what's going on. Now, he said, the thing that's of interest to you or concern to you is the following. This has all been done through the aegis of one organisation in Northern Ireland. And that organisation is the Roman Catholic Church. So I didn't like that when he said that. I got upset because I was obviously a committed Catholic at that time. Okay. And I was having my doubts about the Catholic Church, but I didn't still like it, because you must remember. And the final thing he said really upset me was, he said, and I want to tell you that several of the people that are directly involved in this are involved in your school that you go to. You know that elite grammar school that you go to up there? In there, he said. They're directly involved in this. And he said it involves, it's done mainly through two organisations. And both of them are orphanages. One's in Belfast and the other's outside Belfast. That's what I mean. He never told me, and he never told me the names of them. So I got really upset about that. And I said I'd heard enough and I didn't want to hear any more. And he said to me, you're right. He said, I'm going to tell you this. He said, you're going to leave my home, he said, and it's a case of, I don't want to speak to you again. He said, you asked me to do you a favour, I did the favour. I got you the information. This information is 100% correct. And he said, if you want to ever have any deals with me again, you're going to apologise to me. That's what he said. And I never saw the guy again. I left his home and I never saw him again. Of course, came to pass, within the year, within 2 years, I knew instinctively what he was telling me was correct. And it was proven to me at the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s, when this was all made public, came into the public domain. And the two orphanages were, for the children, the young baby children, the paedophiles were involved in, was a place called Nazareth Lodge up in Belfast, up in South Belfast. And the other place was the Kincora Boys Home for older boys in North County Down. And but I never forgot that conversation that I had with that man. And I never got to apologise to him. because of circumstances. But that's the way of it.